Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Comedy Pop-Up Podcast. I'm subbing in. Big Irish J here. We got Alex Conn over here.
Yes, sir. What's up?
And our guest, Brandi Denise.
Hello.
Brandi, so I literally just met you as I was walking in.
Yes, you did.
And you were telling me you have a one-woman show. Or you did.
Yeah, I ran a one-woman show in Chicago for a couple of years.
You started in Chicago?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's where I came from.
And tell me the name of the show again.
I'm not crazy. I just love hard.
That's I like
Heard
it.
that one a few times.
And
I'm from Vegas. That's what they all say.
They say what?
Well, I'm not crazy. I just love hard.
And you started in Chicago. How long ago did you move out here?
About a year and a half.
How you liking it?
It's so far so good. I feel like the opportunities here are way better. It's easier to make money in Chicago, though.
Oh yeah. Now, how long have you been in stand-up?
8.5 years.
Dang. All right. So you've been doing it for a while. And so do you know like Ken Garr and
Yeah, I know
Jay Washington?
I know Jay Washington.
Yeah. Ken's a good buddy of mine. And Jay is too. Jay's getting skinny. He's losing weight.
I just saw Jay 2 weeks ago. I don't know about that.
Shots fired.
He was so funny. We were at the Improv and I had ordered wings and he had ordered like a grilled cheese, like triple grilled cheese sandwich. And I was like, oh, did you get like the bacon on it? And he was like, no, I'm pretty much vegan now. And I was like, it has like 3 types of cheese on it. What are you talking about? And he was like, well, I'm vegetarian. I'm like, okay.
I saw actually at the Improv, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and I hadn't seen him since like Big Pine Comedy Festival, but I was like, dang, he's gotten, because I'm a big dude, and I always looked at him as like, oh, he's like a big guy too. But then I was like, dude, I'm going to start bullying you.
Okay, well, when I saw him, he was sitting down, but also he's like 3 times my size, so I think he'll always be big to me.
Yeah. So you started in Chicago, and
I started in Florida.
Oh, you started in Florida.
That's where
where
I
at?
grew up and went to college in Tallahassee, I went to FAMU in Tallahassee. And then I did it for like 1 year in Florida after I graduated. Like as soon as I graduated, I like gave my mom my degree and was like, I'm doing comedy now. And so I stayed in Florida, but it was like the Florida comedy scene is so spread out that like you could do a couple shows a month in Tallahassee, but you have to drive to Orlando, you have to drive to Tampa, you have to drive to Gainesville. And these are like 3-4 hour trips for 5-minute guest spots. And so I ended up moving to Chicago in 2011. On my 25th birthday.
Okay, and so I started in Boston, and there's so many Boston guys that go down. I know one Boston dude that has a room down there in Florida, and then like my buddy Tom Dustin would go down there all the time, and I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is either.
I think it's the same with like people that vacation from Boston go down there all the time. But I
wouldn't go down there for comedy.
I don't know. I have no idea. And it's Boston, dude, so like they're a little raw.
Right.
In Vegas, we have a lot of like old Florida shell-outs that kind of are some of the older guys in the Vegas scene. And they go a lot, and it just seems very, it seems like a good time, but it's,
I lived in Florida for like a year and a half before stand-up. Lived in Tampa, Hillsborough County.
I loved, Clearwater is my favorite city in Florida.
You know what's funny is because, I told people, when you tell somebody, oh, I used to live in Florida, people are like, oh, Florida. And I was like, yeah, it was Tampa.
Right. They think Miami. I'm like, I lived on a dirt road named after my dad, so.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty dope. So what made you decide to go to Chicago when you were like, all right, I'm going to go pursue this somewhere?
You know what? I'm the type of person, I'm like, I knew like 2 years, I'm not going to say 2 years. I knew when I started, I had to leave Florida, but I was like, I'm either going to go to Chicago or I'm going to go to LA. And I had read somewhere that Conan O'Brien had said that like Chicago's where you go to get your comedy wings. And then they had like Second City and all the different schools. And I just really felt like if I came to LA and started that I would sink. Because I only had 1 year in. And when I went to Chicago, I was there for 7 years. And by the time I left, I had been in like most of the newspapers. I performed at all of the clubs. It was like nothing left to do in Chicago. So I left. But like Chicago definitely gave me my chops.
Congrats. That's a hard scene to excel in.
Yeah. It was, so it was cool. Like, you know, they have I'm in the Chicago's best comics list and things like that. So I really went there and I was like, I kind of felt like I had taken over Chicago a little bit as a Florida girl. So I was like, then it became New York or LA. And then I had been to New York about 5 or 6 times. I came to LA once and I was like, I'm moving here.
Yeah. It's funny what you're saying. You know Nate Jackson?
I do.
Nate's a good buddy of mine. And
we did a college APCA showcase together last March. He killed it.
Oh, dude, he was telling me afterwards how many. I was like,
it. Like, it was both of our first years.
Yeah.
He's up there like dead on giving like Grammy nominee. Like, he was singing and everything.
Dude,
and you know,
so
I'm pretty high energy and I can sing. I just don't sing in my act. But I was like, damn, I should have like sang. Because I think he booked like 40 schools. I booked like 15. I was like, yo,
he's so good. But
let me open for you.
Yeah, when we were, so I started in Boston, then I went to Seattle for like 5 years, and then moved here like 5 years ago. But when we were in Seattle together, I remember him saying kind of the same thing about what you were saying in Chicago. He's like, he's like, we're two of like the not, I don't want to say biggest names or whatever, but like we've done pretty much everything.
You're on the scene. You're at the top of the food chain.
Yeah, and he was like, it's time to make a move. And so I was like, all right. And it's funny that you were like, you said you had gone to New York a few times, and then went to LA once, and you're like,
right, yeah.
And I'm at a point where I'm like, so I've been here 5 years. I went back to Boston like for like 3-week run of shows, and I was talking to all these guys I started with, and I was like, man, I miss Boston. And they're like, come back. You can make a good living on the East Coast. No, I'm like, maybe. I don't know. I'm still debating what I want to do. Because I'm like, I'm on the road so much anyways, and I'm like, I could, like, let's say I moved to Vegas or Arizona, and, you know, rent's cheap, and I'm on the road so much as it is, so what's the benefit of me being here? I don't know.
A lot of comics are going to Vegas. A lot of comics. There's no sales tax. The cost of living is half what it is in LA. Dude. If you're gone 40 weekends a year, just do like it's a very easy place to live.
My buddy Rocky Dale Davis. He just got some like VH1 stuff, and
I know him. I met him in Atlanta.
He's great
years ago.
Yeah, and he's killing it, and he lives in Vegas. It's cheap for flights and everything, and he comes out here if he has it. It's close enough, so I don't know. But what were you about to say? Sorry.
No, I was going to say that I think it just depends, like, ultimately what your goal is. Because I look at the people I started with in Chicago. You know, we have before I left, it was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Laugh Factory, Chicago's best. And it was like 10 to 12 comics on each show. Typically, I was on most of them. And then I had a lot of my friends who were on most of them. I would say it's an even split of about like maybe 6 that left and 6 that didn't. And the 6 that have left are now like on TV shows, writing for TV shows, in pilots. And the ones who are still there are still on the Friday, Saturday night show at Laugh Factory. So I'm happy that I left, because it's just like, dang, as much as I miss it, I also, it's no room for acceleration.
Yeah.
Unless it's a couple that are still there, but they travel, they go on the road, they do the college tours, they come out to LA like every couple of months, you know?
Yeah. One thing I was talking to like Kelly McFarland and Dan Bolger, these people in Boston, and like I was asking Dan, he was like the youngest guy ever win the Boston Comedy Festival. Now he's like 30 something, right? And I was like, and he's been in Boston, and I was like, do you have any aspirations to like go to New York or LA? And he was like, no, I'm making a living, I'm doing stand up, and I love stand up, and it's fun to me here. And I was like, oh man, what's that like?
the way I see it is like, imagine working for a corporation, and you have like your entry level positions, you have your like mid level, and then you have like your CEO. So like, I feel like I was at the mid level, and a lot of us were. And it's like, well, in order to be a CEO, like for this company, I have to relocate. So some people are just cool at their like mid-level, and they're just like, you know what, I got a house, I got a family, I'm cool. But I'm like, I don't got no house, I ain't got no family, I ain't got no ring, I ain't got no key, and I don't own no home. So I'm like, I'm gonna move to China so I could go be the CEO.
Now, so with that, what are your aspirations with moving here?
Definitely, like, so right now I'm writing because I'm at the point now where I'm starting to meet with like production companies who are like, oh, we like your voice, what do you have? And so it's just been like a lot of writing. I'm working on a movie script right now. I have to leave here in a little bit and work on a late night show packet. So kind of getting like, I really want to like have executive producer behind my name. Like as much as being a stand-up is cool, like even the movie that I'm writing, it's in my voice as someone who would be like me, but I don't see myself playing that person. And so I like that. My one-woman show, I love stand-up, but my one-woman show was literally hands down the most fun thing I've ever done on stage because I got to do characters, I got to sing parodies, I got to do my stand-up. It's like I got to collect everything that I'm good at and put it into one show. And so like I think if somebody was like, we're gonna give you $100,000 to put whatever you want on TV, I think it would be like my one-woman show or a show that I've written based on my life.
Do you like want to do?
I don't want to be like a comic who's never home, who's on the road touring, like selling out arenas. And like I would like to do it occasionally, but like you know, it's like some people who are like every they're called road comics. I don't want to be a road comic, and I just booked my first TV role.
Congrats!
Thank you.
What are you doing?
I have a reoccurring character on Power.
Oh, dope!
Yeah, so I'll be on season 6 of Power, and it's my first time ever being on TV.
Are you just like, okay, hold on, all right, we got to talk about this. All right, so because I don't want to be like, oh well, this is what happened to me, but I want to go through the whole thing about it. I got a role on Two Broke Girls. Like when I first moved here, I got an agent that did nothing else for me other than the first week I had him, got me a role on Two Broke Girls.
Yeah.
Told me I was going to play a love interest, so I'm like, oh, great. But then he was like, yeah, it's for a dude named Patrick. And then he tells me I have to kiss a dude on TV.
He didn't ask. He said.
Well, he's like, I'm submitting you for the role for the Two Broke Girls. So he's like, awesome. He goes, yeah, it's going to be a love interest. So I was like, is it for Kat Denning or the other girl? He goes, no, it's for Patrick. And I was like, oh boy. So then I was like, I was like, that's fine. Submit me for Patrick's love interest. He's like, well, are you cool with you have to kiss a dude? And I was like, thinking, you know, all the stuff you go out for, you never get. So I was like, I'm probably not going to get anyways. Go ahead. And then the next day, he's like, you got it. They want you on set right now. So long story short, I do it. I film this scene, and then they cut my scene.
So you kissed him for nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, wow.
Exactly. But I remember, like, I don't know if you're the same, but I think a lot of comics are very pessimistic to where, like, as I went through that whole process, until I was like, it's going to air or it's like airing, I'm not telling anybody about it because I'm like, I don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to be on this and then it gets cut. So I want to go through how like this all came about and like your excitement level as you're going through it and all that. So what was the first thing?
The first thing was, it's so crazy because I was in Chicago and I had just done a weekend in Chicago at Riddle's Comedy Club. And my homegirl, Just Niche, who's like nationally touring, was like, when you leave Chicago, fly to Tennessee and come open for me and I'll like give you some money. And I was like, I haven't been in LA in 2 weeks because I had just came from Orlando doing some shows too. So I was like, I feel like I need to go back to LA. And it's crazy because I never feel like that when I'm on the road making money. And so I turned down her show in Tennessee. I came back. I messaged my manager like maybe on Monday and was like, hey, I'm back. And she sent me 2 auditions like Tuesday. I recorded them on Wednesday and Thursday. I think like it was like a 12-hour turnaround. I had gotten like, I woke up to she called me and said they want to put you on hold. And when she said she wants to put me on hold, here's my experience that's been in LA. I've been out here for a year and a half. I've been put on hold for a couple of different things. When I first moved out here, like I was saying, the first 6 months, I had like a $50,000 test deal with E that I was on hold for. Like they had narrowed it down to like, I don't know, 5 or 6 girls out of 60. So I'm just like you keep getting excited, but then it's just like, it's like you keep like having sex and never having an orgasm, right? So I just could never climax.
Every girl I've dated.
So I like when she said they're putting you on hold, I'm just like, I'm always the second choice, you know? Yeah. And so then the next day she told me I had it. And when she told me I had it, it was like a little shocking, but it was also like, you know, I was like doing this while she's on the phone telling me, but also it was interesting because they had, they were only looking for local talent in New York. And they had been looking for a month and they couldn't book the role because the character's like a funny girl. Okay. And so, and it's a drama. It's like a drug family drama crime series. And so they ended up branching it out to LA, and that was like super cool or whatever that I did get it. But also immediately I got like nervous. I was like, fuck. I've never watched the show.
Okay.
And they were in I was recording for season 6. So
Right.
I'm like, and I'm telling my friends and they're like, girl, this is like huge. Like this show's a big deal. And I had heard of it and I've heard of the characters and I know the people they don't like because everybody talks about it, but I never watched it. But I was just really excited. It was like once I got there, I was literally like, I don't even know how I got here.
Wait. So you've already filmed all the stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I filmed from, I did 3 episodes. I did like November, I think January and February. I finished my last one in February.
And it's out in New York?
Yeah, I had to go to New York. Then because I wasn't local talent, they didn't pay for me. So fortunately, I was able to get like some flight hookups. My homeboy, who is doing super sick, shout out to Chris Red. He let me sleep on his couch.
Oh, nice.
Every time I went, and I was just like, Chris, I need a place to stay. Like, and he's just like, yo, you feeling power? Like, come crash. Like, you family is
That's
good.
Awesome.
And so that was really dope. And me and Chris was the first person to ever put me in an improv group.
Wow.
Like, I did my first improv group I was ever in. He had a show called The Kickback, which I helped write for, did stand up and also improv with them. And then he had
was this in Chicago?
It was all in Chicago because he was like killing it at Second
You guys
City.
go way back.
Yeah, I've known Chris like 7 or 8 years now. So it's so fun to see your friends doing these things, but it's also fun to be like, hey, I'm doing something too.
Yeah.
And so it was a cool experience. The character that I play is so different from me.
Right.
But I was happy that I was able to go there. Because you know what it was? I literally took one of my characters from one of my jokes.
Oh.
And that's who that person is on that show.
Interesting.
And I learned that when I did CBS auditions, and I had a coach, and he told me, he said, since you're a stand-up comic, he's like, run me some of your jokes. Like, because I had written out these characters. I was doing like impersonations. He was like, that's okay. It's just okay. So he was like, do some of your jokes. So I started doing some of my jokes, and I have like, in my jokes, I do different voices and characters, and I'm going through conversations and stuff, and they have punchlines. And he was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take out everything that you're saying to the audience. And he was like, that's a monologue. And so he was like, you don't have to change the things that you're doing because you're a stand-up. He was like, you can literally take the things that you've already created and just redirect them. So I literally I have a joke I do about sex trafficking and me going to Italy and and that character, she's like very like kind of like naive but also loud, and she don't care, she don't give a fuck, you know.
Right.
And so I took that character and put her in the show.
Now, when because I remember when like I take it you've done improv, and have you taken like acting classes too?
You know what? Maybe like 1 or 2. I used to do theater in high school, but I didn't really do acting.
I never did any acting classes, and then I'm on this Two Broke Girls thing, and I tell this story on stage, but I talk about, and this is all true though, but I say like, as I'm going there, I'm in my head, I'm like, well, what the fuck is a TV kiss? I'm like, is it just your lips touch, or is it your mouth's open and no one's talking? I have no idea, and I'm fucking kissing a dude.
Right.
So I'm like freaking out. So, and then I remember getting there and like wardrobe lady talking to me, and she like kind of went off on me because again, I don't know any of this shit. I'm
and
not
then
an
they
actor.
have different lingo, right?
Yes. So she said to me, she was like, so what size shirt are you? And honestly, like my shirt, depending on the brand, can be anywhere from like a 2XL tall up to a 6XL, you know? So I'm starting to tell her this, and she fucking just looks at me and she goes, really, dude? And I was like, what? She goes, just what size? And I'm like, fuck, sorry. And then later she found out that I was like, didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Right.
So she apologized. But I felt like an idiot as I was going through all this. So when you're on set, your first day on set, what is going through your mind? Are you like, oh shit? Are you excited? Are you nervous?
I like my first scene, I think I only had like maybe 3 lines, but I'm just like, it was the directors that I had were super cool because they were like, we booked you because we like your energy, your vibe. So like I literally felt like I had to say every word, and then they were like, you just be comfortable and do you. And they were like, we want to, like, literally, they were like, throw away the script, say whatever you want to say. So they like, it was like, I would say like every time I shot a scene, they kind of like they were like, we just do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And so that was fun because then I was like, oh shit, I'm like writing.
Yeah, I was going to say, do I get a writer's credit on here?
Right. And it was fun. I worked with Natari in my scenes, who's Tasha, the lead. And she was super nice and supportive. And I told her it was my first time. And she was like, oh, this is like a really big deal then. And she was super nice and supportive. But also you got to get used to when they're like, background sound. And then like, okay, so before you actually film, they do like a little test run through. And I don't even know the name of it because I forgot like once I left set. But like I was in there like full-fledged acting and the cameras weren't on and they were like, you don't have to act right now. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Is it the read through?
No, it was. It might have been like a walkthrough where they were doing they were like putting stickers on the floor, and I'm in there like, what you mean? And they were like, you don't have to do that right now. 4 score. I know, and I'm like, I'm just trying to get into character. I'm a method actor. Like, I try to make up shit to make it seem. Is in there like saying stuff, and everybody starts moving. I'm like, what's that mean? I'm like constantly talking to the PA.
That's so when on Two Broke Girls, I remember they were I guess like doing a walkthrough and I wonder if it's the same with probably not because Power isn't so much a comedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so they would have the actors kind of over here doing the walkthrough, and then there was like a group of like 8 people that as they're doing like reading the lines and stuff, these 8 people would just start laughing at like everything.
Right.
So I honestly, in my head, I was like, do they like hire like people to come and like listen and then laugh? And they go, oh, no, those are the writers. They want to make sure all their jokes get in.
Oh, wow.
And I was hilarious. Like, oh, fuck. I'm like, dummies. I was going to ask you, too, in Chicago, is that where they have the club Jokes and Notes?
That is.
Is it still open or did it shut down?
It closed down in 2016. I did the final weekend that they had there. Yeah, she let me feature. I featured for TK Kirkland.
Oh, nice.
That weekend. But yeah, it was crazy because like that club was like kind of like a staple. The first 3 times I went, I watched. The first 3 times I went up, I bombed. And so it was nice to like, feature the final weekend. And Mary Lindsay is the owner. She's like a business mogul. Like she was like crushing like stocks and like the Chicago stock market and stuff like that before she even bought Jokes and Notes. So she's like a second mom. She's great. If I ever have any questions or, I need hey, I need you to slide my name in here or anything like that. Because she saw me like started from the bottom, Yeah. I met her in 2011. Anytime any auditions came through, she always put me on it. And she was just like, I just think you have something. And
the reason I know about Jokes and Notes was because I think he's from there also. Willie Lynch Jr. Is he from Chicago?
Mm-mm.
Oh, all right. Or maybe he's from. I thought he was from Chicago, but that's Jokes and Notes is in Chicago, right?
It is in Chicago.
Okay, then I don't know what I'm talking about. All right, then I'm losing my mind.
He used to host the show there.
He did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I did the Bay Area Black Comedy Competition a couple of years, and I
missed that. I never got a chance.
I remember. Do you know Kev on Stage?
Yes.
He has
I know of him, but yeah.
He's a good buddy of mine. He started in Seattle, but he did it 1 year, and in Seattle he had this bit where it was basically like he would talk about fast food and his love of like Popeyes, almost like in a sexual sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it would end with him taking water and pouring it, and he's like dancing all sexy.
Wow.
Would kill in Seattle. We're in Oakland at the Bay Area Black Comedy Competition, and he's on it. It's like he said, like the jokes, it's not working, and he knows that he's coming in his head. He's like, I'm going to get him when I pour the water. I'm going to get him. Stands up on a table. There's people there. Starts pouring. Rips his shirt off. Pours water. It's splashing on people, and they just start looking at him like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Commit to the bit, man. No, I don't believe in committing to. I will abandon a fucking.
Oh,
bit.
really?
Like, no, I've been dead in the middle of a joke and been like, "Y'all don't want to hear about this, and I don't want to tell y'all. So let's talk about something else." I'm not gonna sink with the ship.
I've done I remember at Nate's room. He has a room in Washington, and I remember he flies up headliners, and there was a headliner couldn't make it, so he asked me and this dude Ralph Porter to cover. And I had a new bit that I was working on, and I'm like, it's probably like a 5 to 6 minute bit, and I'm maybe 1/4 in, and I'm looking, nobody is listening. Yep, nobody cares.
You got to junk it.
But in my head, I'm like, I could just start talking about something else. Nobody would fucking know. But I was like, I want to work this bit, so fuck them. Mm-hmm. I'm going to finish this bit. Just was not a good set. And I remember Nate coming up, and as I'm shaking his hand, I'm like, yeah, they love me. He's like, get the fuck off. Excuse me. So On the when does your episodes air on Power?
I'm gonna guesstimate probably August.
And who was
September.
When you got it? Or here, let me put it this way: what was the point that you started telling people? Was it when your manager was like, "You got it," or was it after you filmed it, or when was it?
I mean, of course, I told like my immediate circle. I told like my roommates because they knew I was auditioning. I told like my mom and probably like a couple of like my closer friends. But like, I don't think I really said anything like on social media until like Power put me on their IMBD, and I was and I screenshot that and was
that's
like,
dope.
Oh yeah, I'm working.
And
then like I put a couple, and I was like filming on set and stuff. I had like put a couple like I didn't even post pictures of me and like the stars of the show. I haven't posted any of that, but it was a couple things of me like in my like my camper or whatever they call it, like just just being happy, just like I booked my first TV role. Like I didn't even say what it was. Dope. I'm just like I'm super happy to be here. Little sneaky stuff. I had like a little Power headband on or some shit, but I wasn't like whatever.
That's so dope. And so it's almost like.
Like a lot of people don't know, but like when I do shows and stuff now, people be like, "Oh, you're gonna see her on season 6 of Power," so they intro that, and so I don't think they'll cut my scenes because I mean it's kind of infiltrated in the story a little bit.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it's the final season. I was really
Is it the final season?
I'm like 80% sure, but. I was really hoping that
maybe your role will save it.
Yeah, I was really hoping that she got to come back next season. I was like, I don't think there is a next season. But the best part about that was like I got to meet the great directors. Like I'm still in touch with them. I got to meet the creator, who's Courtney Camp, who's a Black woman, and they're all still making things. And I'm sure we'll cross paths again. And it's just like super dope to just even like experience that and have those people know your name.
No, that's so. It's like so much of it. It seems like it's just getting that first foot in the door, and then it's like, and like the advice I always heard from everybody with LA or Hollywood is just be easy to work with, just be somebody people like to be around and easy to work with, and it's but you get that one opportunity and then people keep hitting you up for stuff. That's awesome.
It definitely, because I think since then I feel like way more comfortable in auditions. It's like either they like me or I don't. One of the directors, Gary Lennon, he's great. He's worked on a lot of different projects. He had told me he was like, I'm sorry I haven't gotten to meet you yet, but he was like, I just want you to know that like everything I've watched you, and he was like, you literally bring the scene to life. He was like, I don't think you know how like great you are on camera.
That's awesome.
And it made me feel so good because I'm like, oh, it's my first time, like but like it literally felt like I was on stage. Like I just kind of like snapped into that like performance stage mode. Like it wasn't Brandi anymore because I'm completely different than I am on stage.
Right.
And so it was just you just snap into that, and it was like, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Do you feel with the like the only thing I can use an analogy? So I did a small part in a girl did like a docu special, like a documentary, but also a comedy special.
Okay, so it was like you performed and then they like follow you backstage.
No, like she hired actors because the whole it's Delaney Fisher. Shout out to Delaney, but it's about her mother slept with her first cousin. And the special is called Love at First Cousin. And so I played a guy that married his cousin in the thing. So my whole point of this long drawn out thing is so and our scene was like an emotional scene, and I'm like making myself cry or whatever, and I get done and she's like, wow, that was amazing, blah blah, and I'm just like, oh, thanks. And she's like, no, you don't understand, like that was, you can act it, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
So like, that's what I was going to ask you with, like, you said you've taken one acting class. Like, as you're up there, are you like confident, or, because I have no confidence. Like, you tell me what you want me to do and I'll do my best, but I have no confidence.
I think that one of the things that I felt was that I was easy to direct. I think someone told me that. I can't remember which director told me that, but any notes they gave me, I immediately took them. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I was asking questions too, because I wanted to portray the vision that they had in their head. I'm not like, oh, I know what I'm doing. Like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm going to give you my best. And then if you need to readjust it. But definitely, like, when I was doing it, it was like people were coming up to me. It's crazy. I was at a SNL after party with Chris, and Chris had told me somebody at the party was like, oh, she's filming on Power, she's funny. And so people were coming up to me, like, who were like PAs or like whatever people, they were like coming up to me later throughout the day, like, you're funny, because they would see me acting, but there's so many people watching you that you only thinking about the director and the person you're in the scene with. And so it just made me feel good, because it was just like, oh shit, like, you know, I'm really doing it, because in the back of my head I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening. Oh.
That reinforce, like, if you're trying to fake it till you make it, that positive reinforcement is like, whew,
right.
Like, oh,
they believed it. I got away with it.
Yeah.
It's funny. I remember when I first moved here, and like I would do auditions or whatever, or just acting in general. I always was like, oh, man, acting is stupid, man. Anybody can do that. But now I'm like blown away. Like actors that like can act. I'm like, fuck, that is so. I don't know if people get like how great that person is as an actor. Like I went to a commercial audition, and it was like one line. Like I don't know what the line was. Like let's say it was like, oh, does that come in a large? I don't know. All I kept thinking about through this whole audition is, what do I do with my hands? Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, do I have my, I'm
right.
And I'm like, why the fuck am I worried about it? Yeah, it was so weird. And so it's just interesting with all this stuff that we do is like in the entertainment industry, that I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm like, anytime you get somebody that's like, holy shit, that was great, or like can you do this, and then you switch to what they say, and then they're like fucking perfect. You're like, all right, fuck yeah,
right. Pat yourself on the back.
I'm still like that with comedy. I'm new, so like whenever people approach, I'm like, oh shit, you fell for that? Perfect.
How long have you been doing stand-up?
I'm at like 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you start here?
No, I started in Vegas.
Okay.
Went to Chicago for 5 weeks, Denver, then here. So,
Okay.
You sound country.
I guess I'm pretty country. That's my twangy guitar over there.
Did you grow up in Vegas?
Yeah, but people don't know this. Vegas is like, when you're off the strip, Vegas is white trash with money. Like low cost of living, high income. Everyone's got lifted trucks and guns. It's a white trash. It's Arizona with hookers. You know what I mean? So it's like that. So yeah.
Someone told me when I first started comedy, it was Rodney Lumpkins. He's a comedian in Chicago. He told me, he was a friend of the family, so I had sent him my set at like 6 months, which never ever do that.
Never.
Because no, what the fuck. So he was like, basically he had told me that, then I think this was the best advice he's ever given me, and I honestly think that it's true too. He said, you really won't develop your voice until you're 3 to 4 years in. He said, you won't start to get opportunities until you're 5 to 6 years in. And then he was like, and after that, you just see where shit goes. Yeah. But like that was real, because I really, like, I was always funny in the sense that like I could keep people entertained. But like I keep myself humble. My first year, my second set I ever did it was at the Comedy Zone in Tallahassee. It's on my YouTube page just for me to see.
Oh, okay.
And, it's so like. It's so like dun 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 like and punchline,
and
so it was always like the writing was always there, but I didn't know who I was. The jokes weren't identifiable to me per se, but the writing was always there. And so I think like you're at that 3-year mark, like you'll start to kind of like, and I think too, I started when I was 23, so I didn't have a fucking voice. I didn't know what the fuck, how I felt about shit.
How long have you been doing it?
Like 8.5 years. Nice. And so you don't. I think I might be at 9, and it might be this month or next month, because like literally the year that I graduated, I started stand up the next month from college. Yeah.
It's funny you were saying about your second. You said it was your second set.
My second set.
I have my first time I ever went on stage. Have my set, and I have it uploaded on YouTube, hidden like yours, and. This production company is like doing like a pilot with me, where it's like comics and their journey and all this shit, right? So they want to. I told them, I was like, I have this, but I like. If a friend want to watch it, anybody wants to see it, I'm like, you have to. I don't even want to hear it. You have to take it in the other room. It is fucking brutal. Like I'm wearing like a blazer, which I never wear a blazer, because I was like, that's what comics do. And I'm on this stage in the corner of this bar in Boston, and the light is literally this far away from my forehead, and it's the most brutal thing.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I just thinking about it gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Mine was. It's like, yeah, but I didn't bomb. That's the crazy part. It was just like, damn, that audience didn't even know good comedy. Because that was not good.
That's why I tell people like that are like, oh, I'm starting stand up, or I want to do it. I'm like, you'll probably do great your first set, and then the second one or third one will probably start going down. Yeah.
So, I have a friend who's like a year in. His name is Morthan, and
I know Morthan. Yeah,
Morthan's like he's my light. He's so great, and it's a personal relationship. It's not just about comedy. Like I try to like give him tips and stuff like that, but it's really not about comedy. Like he's just an overall great energy. But I try to tell him like, yo, this shit that you're doing, I promise you're not gonna remember none of these jokes later, And so I'm like, if you have a rough set, like embrace it, because it's like. My worst, I'll tell you guys my worst bomb ever. I was only like a year in. I was still in Florida, and I was like, it wasn't a lot of females doing comedy in Florida, and I think I was the only black female that I knew who was like accessible still to people, And so this comedian named Type Mike, who did like Comic View, had reached out to me and was like, hey, you want to do this show in Savannah, Georgia? We get you a hotel. We're going to pay you. I think he paid me like maybe $250. It was like a maybe 2-hour drive. It had like a limo service. We were doing like a radio ad. So I'm doing it with all like these Comic View vets, right? So it's like me, Sean Larkins, some other one, and it's like 3 black Comic View guys and me, and I'm like 24. And they like on the flyer, they're like, SC, Comic View, Brandi Denise. And I'm like, I wasn't even old enough to do Comic View, but okay, whatever. And so they just wanted a female's perspective, right? And I was horrible. And so I'm on stage and I don't remember the joke anymore. I think I deleted it from my memory because it was so bad, but
repressing it.
I like don't remember the joke. I think it was so bad. I think I had said something about like fat women were shaped like drumsticks. I was like skinny at the bottom and big at the top.
Still solid.
And I said it, and like, you got to know your audience. I'm in Savannah, Georgia, in a black club down a dirt road. It was armadillos outside. Everybody in there was eating fried chicken, and they all looked like exactly what I had described. And I'm up there like 105 pounds, like with my hair just like fat women.
You fat bitches.
And they are like, they start standing up, and they're like, "Fuck you, bitch!" And like,
bitch.
and they are like yelling at me and the dude, and I'm like, "Whatever, I'll take your man." So I'm trying to get back, and then like they were like, "Bitch, I'll beat you," and I'm like, and then I was like, "Man, this show is stupid," So like I get on stage and like I can't remember his name, but he roasted the fuck out of me, and I think that every comedian needs that after a bomb. He roasted me so bad. I went outside. I didn't even hear the whole roast. I went outside my car and I sat down and cried, and I just couldn't stop crying. And my sister, I call her baby gangster. She's like 4'11", but she would like yap you the fuck out. So while the women are yelling at me, "Bitch, get the fuck out of here," blah blah blah, my sister's like, "Bitch, we'll beat your ass. She funny than all y'all." Like she like got my back 110%, and I'm like, we can't fight. We gotta go.
All these big girls are looking at your
She's
sister.
4'11". She cussing people out. Like, and then when I come back inside, I go into the bathroom. And this was crazy. I'm in the bathroom. Like some of the girls who were yelling at me come into the bathroom and they're like, "Yeah, that bitch wasn't funny." And like saying all this. I'm like literally stepping up on the stall. Yeah. So like I stood on the toilet so they could not know I was in there. I was hiding from them because I was like, they're going to beat me up in this bathroom. Like who knew that you could get your ass beat for a bad joke? And so, yeah, after that, I just started being aware of who the fuck I was talking to. And,
So we all learn at once, yeah.
It was,
Would you kind of like to be back in that situation though now with your current chops, just to like see?
I mean, if they had a bigger budget, of course, yeah. But I'm not going to Savannah, Georgia to do a show for $250. But also, like, you know what? It did, and this is what I love about black people. They talk shit. They want to fight me. They want to do all this. I was at the bar after the dude had paid me. Then he tried to short me, and I was like, I don't give a fuck if the show was bad. I still was here.
I suffered.
And so, right. And so one of the guys who was kind of booing as well, he came over and bought me a shot of Hennessy and said, "You'll be all right."
Gives you a little thing on the chin. You got I remember my worst bomb was probably about 7 years ago. I was featuring for Leslie Jones, and
nice.
We're at the Parlor Live in Bellevue, Washington. I just got done doing the Bay Area Black Comedy Competition. I'm doing a joke about interracial dating that I'd done in Oakland, did great, and I don't know why, for whatever reason, these people were not feeling it. I don't know if it was because it was an older crowd or what, but I just remember I hit a punchline, and the whole audience, you just hear them go, oh, like that. And but it had been bad leading up to it. And then I just remember I looked at the audience and I was like, I just told them, I go, I don't give a fuck. And then
Right.
I finished my set. They hated me. I go in the green room and Leslie's like, Jay, what happened? I was like, Les, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. And he's like, or she goes, you know what? Fuck them. That's a good joke. Fuck them. Then Leslie went up and instead of shitting on me, she shit on the audience.
Great. That's great.
I'm watching her. I'm in the sound booth and she's like, she comes out and she goes, oh, did Jay offend you with his jokes, you sensitive motherfuckers?
There
And she
you
was
go.
like, she's like, fuck you. And I'm in the back and she's like, Jay, fuck them. That's a good joke. Fuck them. And then she destroys.
Right.
Leslie's such a monster. She's so good. And but I was like, thanks, Leslie. Thanks for having my back.
Right. Let them know.
Then she bought me a Hennessy and gives me a little thing.
Yeah.
No,
Signature bomb drink.
yeah, exactly. So what do you have coming up? Like, you did Power, and can you talk about it? What do you have coming up next, or what's your next thing?
Right now, I'm just auditioning for different things. I'm Not Crazy, I Just Love Hard. I'm actually talking to Comedy Pop-Up right now about making that a podcast where I'll have guests come on and talk about different scenarios that have like led them to like manic behavior. Like, maybe you were in high school and you like showed up at your girlfriend's house at 3:00 in the morning and her dad pulled a gun on you. Just like these types of stories, because I feel like even though we're comedians, we could tell them in a funny way, but everyone has it.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone I have too many. I
Yeah.
wrote a whole hour show about it. But everyone has those stories. So whether you were the person doing it or it was the person it being done to you, I just love hearing them, because also it's like, girl, tell me what else happened. And then he did what? So for me, it's just like a way to just be in people's business. But also, if you like hearing about crazy shit, then like watch out for that. And you can just like go to my website, www.brandidenise.com. All my shows are up there. I'm gonna be in Virginia next weekend, and the next couple of months I'll be in Texas, South Carolina. I'm traveling.
And what's your social media stuff?
I am LOL Brandi with an I, Brandi Denise on Instagram, and Brandi Denise on IG, and yep.
Dope. You have anything you want to plug?
No, well, we got comedypopup.la.com for all of our shows. You can follow us on Instagram at comedypopup or CPU podcast. And then I'm Alex Conn is not funny on Instagram.
Nice.
And which is the hackiest handle. Now I know that.
No, it would be comedian. Alex.
Yeah.
I tried to get Comic Con, and every variation of Comic Con is taken. But yeah, anyway, guys, that's us. Nothing. Yeah, thanks for coming out, guys, and check out all of our shows.
I want to say one more thing. If you are listening live or soon or whatever, I'm gonna be at the West Side Theater Monday night at 10 p.m. doing the Just for Laughs callback to go to Montreal. So
nice.
If you are, come support and come laugh really loud next to the camera when I'm performing.
For real. And when's this come out?
I believe this one is Tuesday. So
you missed it.
You missed it. But
I'll just say.
But what's the date? Just in case I don't know. We might be filming this week.
April 14th. I'm gonna say
15th, Monday the 15th.
Monday the 15th.
Perfect. Yep. And then if this does drop by then, Monday the 18th, I'll be at West Side representing Vegas on a 420 show. So come do that. Vegas versus Maui comics. Come hang out.
Maui.
Yeah, there's a couple.
California.
No, Maui,
Hawaii?
like Hawaii. Yeah, there's a couple guys from Maui and a couple guys from Vegas are all gonna. Yeah, we're gonna have a show. So it's 420 show.
I'm at Big Irish J. I got a podcast on here called the Hollingsworth program, and then I'll be in Canada. I'm doing a 3-week run through Canada. I'll be in Prince George, New Westminster, and Edmonton, Alberta. That's all
Awesome.
I got.
And I totally forgot. Here at CPU, we just started doing all of our stuff on YouTube as well. So, guys, youtube.com/CPU Podcast Network. Yes. You can see the videos from everything we do. So, yeah, thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Brandi.
Thank you.